Hey guys, happy holidays to you.
Aww. Let
Nope.
the cold bring
I hope everybody had a
sickness.
wonderful Thanksgiving, if you celebrate that cursed holiday. And I hope that everyone's having a lovely week leading up into the Big C.
Yeah, dude, I cannot wait for the big C.
Christmas.
Aw, Kevin,
Oh,
are
I
you a
thought you
big
meant
C
Cyber
boy?
Monday.
Never mind.
Did you guys think I was talking about Cyber Monday?
Yes, sir.
Don't feel like watching movies, so I'll watch people guess them instead. I don't know how it goes, I think it starts with your
Have you guys been seeing all of the memes and posts and tweets and Twitters and X's and threads about the Black Friday deals of like Target and stuff? Of people just pulling out the prices where it says like Black Friday deal
And it's just
$4.99,
yeah.
and they just pull it out and right behind it says $4.99.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. I love that.
This Black Friday, like, I mean, I guess it's like we can all talk about how much we prefer to or have participated in Black Friday festivities, but for me personally, unless I'm like shopping for a big new electronic, like a TV, like I'll have a TV for like fucking 6 to
Right.
10 years. I
Agreed.
don't care about having the latest one. Like I'll buy the nicest one when I'm ready, and then that one will last me 10 years. I don't like care too
Hell
much
yeah.
about getting like super top of the line OLED fucking $4,000 televisions. But when I need a new one, that's like when Black Friday, when I start to like activate, like when I care about Black Friday. Other than that, every Black Friday I get really cool movie deals. I get movie
Oh, interesting.
deals because there's good movie deals.
Like Criterion stuff?
Yeah, Criterions and 4Ks and steel books and all those good things. And Guillermo del Toro and I think Christopher Nolan
Probably.
were quoted as saying recently that like collectors of movies, like physical movies, are the new like archivists of like art
Wow.
cinema. And
wow.
and that we have a responsibility.
Steve Zaragoza,
I know, I was just gonna
you
say.
have been knighted Chief Archivist of Cinematic Joy and Wonder.
Dude, I would totally accept a job at the archive of film. I'm sure that exists. That totally exists.
Yeah.
But and is fully occupied. And but they were saying that like people now have a responsibility to collect art, film, cinema, because the streaming services can pull a movie or a TV
Yeah.
show off
Well,
of streaming at any
it's-
time.
It's happened very quickly, like so fast that movies have become this, because I would say it took like 20, 30 years where people were starting to be like hip and be like, I collect vinyls, and like collecting
Yeah.
records, like physical records, not CDs, not tapes, became something that people were like, this is a hobby, this is a collection, I'm hip, yada yada yada. That happened to movies so quick.
Right.
So
Yeah.
quick because of streaming. It's already kind of into that realm. However, I would say I've heard a lot that physical media collecting isn't just hip, but it's actually becoming the norm again. People are going back into wanting to collect and hold on to all their physical media.
Collecting and pirating. Piracy is making a huge comeback. Like there was
But
a time
piracy is
where
online, right? You're not
Pir-
collecting a pirated thing.
piracy is online, but there are people who have offline hard drives or their
With
own like
movies.
home servers that are just filled with movies that can be
Interesting.
accessed offline in their own personal homes. I think piracy is like the easiest way to collect a thing and keep it on a hard drive somewhere. Even though I don't super condone the activity of stealing movies, but there was a time when it seemed like movies were reasonably priced
Right?
and streaming services were reasonably priced. And so people kind of abandoned physical media because they were like, well, it seems like every movie I've ever wanted to watch is either on iTunes or on a combination of Amazon Prime and Max and Showtime and Netflix and all these apps and stuff. But yeah, they just recently started to like pull shit off.
them.
Like, for example, a movie like Willow is a movie that will be forgotten to time for sure. Joe and I grew up watching that movie and enjoy Willow and are fans of Willow, even though it's cheesy and dumb. But you know, we love Val Kilmer and Warwick Davis is awesome, and fucking Ron Howard directed it, and George Lucas.
It's so
created
crazy that Ron Howard directed Willow.
I know. And it's a bizarre, weird movie, but it's like all like for those of us that were like fantasy nerds, we had to take what we could get. Like fantasy
Right.
movies were few and far between, and now everything is fantasy, it feels like, to some degree. So Willow
Did Ron
was
Howard have to do with the show at all?
no.
Did he? He didn't. Okay.
No.
Wonder
I
if that's
think
why it
maybe-
failed.
He might have gotten an executive producer credit or something like that.
Yeah.
But you know, the Willow show, I watched all the episodes. Our friend and friend of the show, Tony Revolori, was a star, a co-star on that show, and was a series regular. And he played like a really cool character. And I thought the show was certainly not geared towards my age. It was more geared towards towards my age with children.
Yeah.
So I think Joe might have been the perfect audience with his family for Willow, the TV show. But did you guys ever watch that?
No, we didn't.
I never watched it.
We're very in this household. We've become very anti Tony Revolori, and
He tweeted some comments and we had to drop him from the Valleyfolk. That's so funny. I mean, I get it. There's like endless entertainment, there's endless shows, endless movies, and you know, it's hard to decide what to watch with your family or whatever. But if you, Joe, if you had sat down with Hayden and even your son, Philip, I think you guys would have like probably all three gotten a kick out of it, because it was really like it had like really weird needle drops, like an Offspring song would like pop up in the middle.
Weird.
But as soon as Warwick Davis pops in as Willow, you're like, whoa, this is actually kind of cool. And they were doing wizards and magic and shit. And I think that it was just a product of an oversaturated young adult content market.
Yeah.
And when Stranger Things happened, everyone jumped on the like, let's make a young adult vampire show. Let's make a young adult wizard show. Let's make a young adult werewolf show. And everyone just tried to make a new Stranger Things kind of thing or whatever.
Well, you know what's crazy is that because everything is so saturated, all of these things that you just said back in the 90s would have all been an event and everybody would have been excited to give it a shot.
Yeah.
Million percent.
Everything was like,
Because we were
my
hungry for that.
right, and everything was spread out. You weren't like swimming and drowning in too much content. But now the fact that like, gosh, Invincible or Gen 5 or like any of this stuff can come out and you go,
Gen V.
I've been
Yeah.
corrected on both sides of those, by the way. I've said Gen V and Gen 5. I don't fucking care.
I actually
We need
like
to ask Nick.
Roman numerals went completely over my head in school, so I don't see like when I see a Roman numeral, I either see like a mashup of things or I see the letter V.
Yeah.
But the title is referencing the drug that makes you a superhero, which is
Yeah.
called V. And
Well,
so
that's why
yeah.
I call Invincible Infiveable. So
But I get it. If Roman numerals make sense to you, I can get why seeing V is like 5 and your brain gets
Yeah.
dumb about it.
but again, been corrected on both sides, which is weird. But anyways, like none of this stuff would have been skipped ever.
No.
Willow would have been watched by every
And you would have been
person.
so excited.
And
for
it would have
when
been a hit,
dropped.
too.
You could
Yeah.
just throw shit to the side. My kids aren't excited about anything that comes
Nothing.
out because there's just too much, and they're just like, maybe I'll sit down and watch it. I can't get them. Willow, they might have liked Willow, but there's no world where I could get like the Venn diagrams of my kids and their interests to actually sit down and watch it. And the fourth Venn diagram being time. Like for them to actually want to sit down.
Of course, it's impossible.
Yeah.
Because
But, like-
before Willow, there's 9 other shows that are more important
Well,
to get to and watch in the zeitgeist.
And my son's been poisoned as well. He doesn't care about traditional storytelling right now because he's fallen into the YouTube hole and he likes watching like these kids that scream and yell and play Minecraft and Fortnite over and over. Like he'll watch the same videos over and over and over again to the point where I had to put on like a cap. I'm like, no more YouTube today, dude. You got to take a break and you got to go do some other stuff.
Whoa.
And
Yeah.
So it's like when we would watch our VHS tapes and wear them out and make our parents annoyed. Steve, you can't, Esteban, you can't watch Little Shop of Horrors all day. You can't just, the movie can't stop and you restart it. And you can't just eat hours of movies of the same
At least
movie.
yours was like Joe said, traditional storytelling though. It wasn't just random.
But it was the YouTube of its time, you know?
Yeah.
Like watching movies endlessly or TV shows endlessly.
I've wondered that though, is like the traditional storytelling of like a beginning, middle, end. Is that like an older kind of mature thing now? And kids more gravitate to the really quick, just fast-paced attention.
Okay. So yeah, I hear you and I'm on the same page with you. But like the 3-act like storytelling film structure, I think it's even, or no, books have more acts, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not specifically saying that it has to be a 3-act structure. I just mean like there's a story there. Whereas like a lot of YouTube videos are not telling a story.
Well, the best movies are telling you a story and you don't even realize
It's,
like
yeah.
that it's being a constructed thing happening in front of you. The worst stuff is when you can feel the movie change to the
predict
second
things.
act and the third act, and you're like, whoa.
there's so many times I'll be watching a movie and I'll just go, oh, there's rock bottom.
Yeah. Yeah. Here comes the turning point.
Uh-oh, all his friends are mad at him. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. He's about to lose everything. Do you think he's going to need to make some sacrifices? But yeah, I mean, like, the best stuff is where you don't really notice that and you just enjoy it and then you receive a nice story and things like that. But you bring up a really interesting point, Kevin, because, like, the generations, because my nephews, I just saw them at Thanksgiving, and they also endlessly watch YouTube videos, like 14-minute long YouTube videos, like about garbage, like Minecraft and fucking Roblox and shit like that. And I get it. I mean, obviously I was a kid too, and I fucking ate all the breakfast cereals and watched all the Saturday morning cartoons endlessly and shit. But the like content that they're being served right now, you're right. It's not a storytelling. The storytelling aspect of it is not the important part. The important part is like the attention, like getting their attention, and the ways that they do that now are deviating from the traditional media.
I agree that it is the attention, but I would also say it's attention meets personality. Everything's a personality based thing. So they're not just watching just random AI. They're still watching somebody that they connect to for A, B, C reasons, right? Now, in defense of current YouTube storytelling via versus traditional storytelling, I will contend it's not the type of storytelling that we like, but the best personalities, even when I see what Jackson's watching, the best personalities still are telling a story. Like they're using Roblox to go from A to D, and they're doing a beginning, a middle, and an end. More than we think, it's just a bunch of screaming and fucking annoyance, which I can't stand. I can't stand the personalities. I think there is an innate human tendency to lean into story, beginning, middle, and end. But we're also mixed in now with what I would contend is the non-traditional version of digital media and personality, which is things like TikTok. Memification has become a storytelling device in its own right that isn't necessarily a beginning, a middle, and an end, but is more of a commentary on a moment or a pop culture moment or the zeitgeist in general, right? Like,
For sure, yeah. And you're right, Joe. Like, these guys that make those, like, Roblox videos or those Fortnite videos or those things that Jackson watches, those guys that make those understand that there's a format and they're following a format behind the scenes and they're fine-tuning the personalities and they're making sure that the personalities, like, fit with, like, the theme and all of that. Like, if they're smart, they're doing all of that. And the kids right now that are watching that, if they're interested in creating content like that themselves, they'll need to learn that there is a creation process and a structure that they need to follow in order to find the success and to gain the attention. Because you're right. I think you're right, Joe. Like, people really want some kind of structure. Like, even if it's like the shortest possible thing, like there has to be like a semblance of a structure.
Yeah, like today
this
I'm
was
going to build a house in
intentionally done.
Minecraft. Yeah,
right.
And then you go and get the supplies, you build it, and now you have a house. And
It's
that's
the same
Right.
reason, like, we were all taught to write thesis papers the same. A good video is the same as a thesis paper. Like, here's your topic, here's your thesis statement. Now here's your paragraph 1, 2, and 3, and your conclusion, right? Like, at the end of the day, I think there's a comfort in human storytelling that probably goes all the way back to fucking cavemen and how they started to tell stories and keep the lineage alive and yada yada yada. That I think there's probably a subconscious comfort into leaning into that, and that's why even and I think it becomes culture based as well, right? There's Western storytelling and then there's Eastern storytelling,
Right.
and that's why over the last 20 years, as the Eastern storytelling has started to come over here, we find it so fascinating. And I'll sit down and I'll watch.
Refreshing as fuck.
Yeah, I'll watch some anime and I'll be like, I didn't expect that. That's fucking
Yeah.
insane. Why are they doing that? Why are they doing that? And then
Well,
you
and then
love
there's also like an aspect of like melodrama in certain like pieces of like Eastern culture that you're like, what the fuck? Like, they are really getting in, like they are like soaking up the melodrama.
Did he just cry and have flashbacks for 7 episodes?
Yeah,
Dude,
and then
flashbacks?
everyone's crying all day. Like, everyone's crying in the scene, and they're all I mean, but our shit also has stuff that people from other countries will watch and be like, what the fuck is that?
What the
shit?
hell? Yeah.
What are you doing? But the reason why I brought all that up was because, with Willow specifically, that movie Willow is a relic, and even finding like a physical version of Willow somewhere is hard to do. And so it was already hard to get a copy of Willow or watch Willow, the movie, anywhere. And then the Willow TV show was being made for Disney Plus, and then all of a sudden the movie Willow pops up on Disney Plus.
Right.
And you're like, oh shit, Willow's on Disney Plus. That means I could get rid of my Blu-ray or I could get rid of my DVDs or whatever because Willow is on Disney Plus. As long as I have Disney Plus, I'll have Willow. But then the Willow TV show comes out, and you're like, whoa, I got all this Willow stuff. This is great. The show bombs, and Willow the show disappears, and Willow the movie disappears. So there is no remnant of Willow on Disney Plus at all, even though there was like 4 straight months of Willow promotion happening all over the Disney Plus app. Like, you would go to Disney Plus, and there'd be like Willow shit all up on the screen and stuff. And it was really cool and awesome, and I thought it was cool, but it's gone. And now, where the fuck can I watch Willow? Nowhere.
Unless you have a DVD, but
Unless
also
you have the fucking DVD.
a DVD player, which makes me think.
Also a DVD player, yeah.
And they don't sell that. Like, computers don't come with the CD thing anymore.
No, you have to buy them separately or something.
So, like, that all has to stay also and not be gotten rid of in order to be able to watch this.
And no one could have predicted that this is what was going to happen in entertainment. Although, everyone was feeling like, well, the death of physical media is upon us.
Right.
Like DVDs, Blu-rays.
Yeah, I remember
These
all
are
that.
all going to disappear before we know it. And even to the point where Sony PlayStation 5 was released with a no disc version, like a no disc drive version. So you can buy a disc version of the PlayStation 5 or a digital version that doesn't have a disc player in it, which means that the big giant electronics corporation Sony, like fucking mega conglomerate, and all of their money and researchers and employees decided that the tide is certainly turning to the point where physical media will be gone, that we can even give people a video game system knowing that it's okay they don't have a disc drive and they'll still have a good experience with that system. And that's fucking mind-blowing to me.
Right.
Because now we have now what we're living in is a time where these huge directors are saying it's time to start collecting DVDs again. Because they're disappearing.
Yeah, and I think that will last until, because if you ask anybody like under the age of 20, they're gonna be like, yeah, it didn't have a disc drive. I don't care. They won't even
Yeah,
think
they
a
don't give a
second
shit.
about it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like until those directors kind of die out, I think that's when it'll actually be the death of physical media.
Yeah,
I mean,
my kids
yeah.
don't care at all. They did when they were kids, but that was just because of us, I think,
Right,
pushing
sure.
it on them a little bit. But we even
Right.
as a family don't really do anything anymore either. But my daughter really likes collecting records. So at some
Interesting.
point it will flip. And
I'm
like,
telling you,
Yeah.
dude. But like, you know what I saw browsing through like Black Friday deals for stuff? I saw wow, shit, what was it? It was like bonkers. It wasn't cassette players because we've seen cassette players are back, right? You've seen cassette players are back.
mhm.
I didn't know that. That's
You didn't know
crazy.
that? It was like I can't remember. Maybe it was cassette players. But like even the new Beatles song that dropped and came out on record also came out on cassette. So it's like even now there are bands that like release something on cassette as kind of like a special limited like thing. Like Dynamic Banter, we did a cassette
Yeah.
that was like with like from our one of our shows or something. And
Right.
it's a show on cassette, which is really fun. And we thought it was cool because we're like, that's a relic of our time when we would like go to the music store and look through the cassette tapes to find like music.
That sound, that click.
Dude, yeah. And those big giant or the big giant plastic things that they would stick the
Anti-theft
cassettes into,
devices?
yeah.
Yeah.
And you'd like shuffle through these giant racks of plastic, like looking through.
Click, 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 click,
um,
click, click.
But yeah, like you know, so and that media is still being collected. So like in my brain, I'm thinking, you know, like I don't know how the media company, the streaming conglomerates are going to satisfy the vocal minority of people that are upset when things disappear and they have no control over it.
They don't care at the end of the day.
I don't
because
think they care either.
It's profits, right? Like, because it's got to be infinitely cheaper for them to just stream
rid
or
of
sell.
shit.
Well, get rid of stuff, but like stream something, A, for free if they want, but B, make people buy like Amazon Prime.
Exactly.
You can rent or buy this. It's just a digital file. They don't have to like, there's no production costs after they make it. If you have CDs and physical media, that costs a lot of money and overhead to make. So if they don't have to make it, they're head over heels. I was just looking online at the Willow stuff, Steve. So this is the interesting part of the conversation that we're not talking about. You can forever get the Willow DVD. You just can. Used, new, whatever. They're still making it. It's everywhere. There's new editions. There's yada, yada, yada. There is no DVD of Willow the series. So that's where it's
Oh yeah, and there
problematic.
never will be, and there never
Exactly.
will be.
So they really do have control over this thing.
Well,
that
that's
they
where
spend
the
so much money on. You know?
Well, so the thing that was kind of related to that, Joe, that we were talking about was the piracy part.
Mm-hmm.
You could pirate these things that will never be made into a physical format
Or a
and
digital format.
or a digital format, and there's a justification at this point. Now you actually are being an archivist because these are pieces of media that will be lost forever. Like Disney, do you think Disney is ever gonna bring that Willow show back?
Yeah, dude, nostalgia's a motherfucker.
Yeah,
the,
but-
the vault is a great marketing device.
I know.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, you know, maybe if, knock on wood and pleased from my mouth to dog's ears, the bounty hunter, of course, when Warwick Davis passes, if Warwick Davis passes, maybe, I know you're barking down on me, baby. But, but like, you know, when Warwick Davis passes, that, you know, maybe that's an opportunity for them to bring the Willow movie back to the
One
like,
of the
movie.
most
But
prolific
Joe, the other thing we're not,
careers, by the
yeah,
way.
yeah, sure. Oh yeah, the Leprechaun, Wicked,
Dude,
the Ewok,
so much. Harry Potter, Flitwick.
yeah, in fact, he plays a few characters in Harry Potter, I think.
Yep. Yes, he does.
Probably.
But Joe, we're also not considering the like completely ridiculous contracts that all of these like actors had and have, and you know, there might be conflicts to even bring the show back at this point with all of these contracts that are no longer these are voided contracts now that the show is gone, essentially, unless they're like under some sort of NDA or something. But it's not that easy to just bring a show back. And you're right, we've seen them do it for like a cash grab or nostalgia or whatever. But man, I think Willow had one chance to be in the zeitgeist again. And even the first time, it wasn't really in the zeitgeist. It was like, there was buildup because it was Ron Howard and George Lucas and Val Kilmer was going to be in it. It was a big, and dude, this was before Lord of the Rings, so we didn't have like big epic fantasy wizard shit at all. So that was like a buildup. But when it came out and it sucked, like it lost all of its chances to like maybe have a second chance. So the fact that it even had a second chance is mind-blowing to me.
I'm racking my brain right now. Is there anything fantasy between the release of Willow and Lord of the Rings? Kroll was before.
I know, I was thinking of Kroll.
Legend was before.
Yeah.
I can't think of any big...
When did Willow come out?
Swing.
What year?
Like 88 or 89 or something.
So like 10, 12 years without...
Yeah,
any
man.
fantasy stuff.
It was never really part of, like, there was a Dungeons and Dragons movie, but I think it was a super flop.
I think that was after Lord of the Rings.
But it might have been after.
I think it was
a flop. It was a big one.
It was a flop. There was a massive fantasy drought in the media. And the only way to get your fantasy kicks was literally to just, like, read comic books or books.
Elf Quest.
Or play some video game, or... watch movies like Labyrinth and Legend and Dark Crystal and like endlessly,
Yeah, the 80s provided us 90s kids with just enough fantasy fodder to get us to Lord of the Rings.
It's so interesting because it's like, obviously like a fantasy movie is like, as soon as you think of the production of a fantasy movie, you're like, that's money, man. And that's money that people weren't willing to throw at a big giant thing. And not only that, the limitation, like the visual effects limitations were a huge deterrent, I think.
Here we go. Here's two that the 90s provided us that we forgot about. And then maybe some even like, I'll give you some fringe fantasy. We had Dragonheart.
Oh, yeah.
1996, which
Sean
actually is
Connery.
pretty good. It's a good movie. I like it.
Does it hold up? Have you seen it recently?
I think it does. It's fun.
I don't know. Those visual effects might be cringy looking though at this point.
I don't when I think of does it hold up, I very rarely think of the visual effects because that's not fair.
Well, okay, sure.
1990 was The Neverending Story Part 2.
Are you gonna throw Waterworld in there? Is Waterworld a fantasy movie?
I suppose it's fantasy adventure, but
because there's a fish man in it. That's kind of fantasy.
I don't think it fits in the realm of what we consider fantasy. And then we've got Pagemaster. Remember Pagemaster?
Oh yeah, with the books, the little cartoon books, and like Macaulay Culkin.
Yes, sir.
Guys. So remember we were talking about this AI companion thing before we started the show?
Yeah. Okay, for those of us listening, we use Zoom to talk to each other here to shoot the podcast, record the podcast. And there's a feature called AI Companion that we were like,
we didn't know really what it did.
Yeah, we had
so I decided, like, I opened up the thing and I was like, okay, if it's like ChatGPT, I'll just ask it a question and it'll tell me. I said, what fantasy movies came out between 1988 and 2001? And it's saying, based on the meeting transcript, the participants discussed fantasy movies and the lack of fantasy content during a certain period. However, they did not specifically mention any.
Turn it off. Turn it off.
Wait, what did we talk about that this could know?
Hold on.
Wait, we forgot about
asking about dog.
1991.
Hook.
Hook.
Oh, come on.
Oh, dude. Owen told me something super nerdy awesome about Hook yesterday. And when I went to go see Dream Scenario, which we can talk about later if you'd like.
Yeah.
That's the new Nicolas Cage A24 film. Joe,
is that the one where everybody's dreaming about him?
Yes.
Yeah, that
I
looked
saw
great
it last night.
Okay.
We'll talk about it later. But Owen told me, speaking of Hook, so I don't know if you guys know this. Hook is a very beloved film starring Robin Williams.
It's also a very hated film.
It's a divisive one for sure. I forgot who here feels what about Hook. We don't need to bring the politics into it, but I don't love Hook actually. And
You don't love Hook?
No, I don't. And I've always had a weird feeling. Like, I thought the first time I ever saw Hook, I was like, I guess I need to like this because everybody loves it.
Oh,
and
interesting.
And McDonald's had all the Hook toys, and those were cool. And there was like, everyone was talking about Hook, and Robin Williams was the shit, and it was great. It was Peter Pan, right? And so when you're a kid, you're like, fuck yeah. But as an adult, I watch it, and I'm like, those Lost Boys are kind of annoying, and Rufio is kind of annoying.
No, he's still really cool. Rufio.
Anyway,
Rufio.
so Hook's great, and we were talking about how, I don't know if you guys knew this, but Hook was going to be a musical. I don't know if we've talked about it here or not.
Oh.
And Steven Spielberg was really excited to be directing his very first musical, and it was a huge idea, and it was originally going to star Michael Jackson as Peter Pan. It was going to be a Steven Spielberg, Michael Jackson musical Peter Pan movie. All of that fell through, but before it did, there was music written for the movie. So there is a musical version of Hook that conceivably exists in the conceptual form. So there's demos, maybe there's produced music.
Was it
all
on that
sorts of stuff.
laptop
It's
that
just,
guy got stolen
I know,
or whatever?
remember
The
that?
Michael Jackson
Dude,
shit.
that's so funny. I wonder if that person was just lying. That person went to like
We never heard anything about it.
It was like this guy went to a music convention and like proposed that he found Michael Jackson's computer or something. And he had like and he had like endless Michael Jackson songs that had never been heard and all the stems to all the songs.
Yeah.
And he was going to share it with the world, and then it disappeared. That guy got
Or
killed.
he
yeah,
disappeared.
that guy's dead.
Yeah, he disappeared.
So anyway, so there is one piece of music from the musical version of Hook that made it into the movie. And if you guys remember the movie, there's a scene where the little girl, the daughter of Peter, is in Neverland, and she sings this like little song for like a second. She's
Okay.
like, "When you're all, So that was like a piece of the musical that made it into the movie. So that was the only thing we had from the musical version of Hook ever until now. In a few weeks, Owen said in a few weeks, there is a release coming out for Hook, for an anniversary, I guess, where they're releasing all of the original musical songs that were going to be in the movie.
Whoa.
And this is like hella movie music
When did
nerd
Owen start fucking Steven Spielberg? Where did he get all this pillow talk?
shit. I know, right? But Owen's just always cared about music and like movies. He's a big dumb music movie nerd. But he was telling me that last night. I found that really fascinating. That
Damn.
we're gonna get to hear that music now.
So
wait,
I just
is-
asked.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I asked, what did Steve Zaragoza say about the movie Hook? And it said Steve Zaragoza mentioned that he has a weird feeling about the movie Hook. He watched it as a kid and thought he needed to like it because everyone else did.
Turn
but
it
as
off.
an adult, he finds the Lost Boys and
Turn it off.
Rufio kind of annoying.
Disable it. Disable it. Disable
Turn it off. Like a
Like a
light
light
switch.
switch. Turn it off. Dude, that's crazy.
That's bonkers.
Okay, so let's leave it on, and then at the end of the show, we'll ask it a few questions based on all the things we talked
wait.
This is insane that this exists.
Speaking about movie musicals and us singing
I love that we're like glossing over it.
Book of Mormon.
Listening to everything
We
we're
keep
saying.
glossing over it, and it's listening to everything we say.
Oh yeah. This is the same reason I don't have an Alexa in my home.
I feel like we're back at SourceFed office, and we have the producers behind the camera with their arms folded, making sure we don't say something stupid.
When are we going to get a Book of Mormon movie?
Dude, that was apparently in the works a very long time ago. And I can't remember what specifically. I mean, it was in production and announced as a feature film. But Andrew Rannells and
Well, they're too old now.
Josh Gad are too old. So now they have to deal with the like, well, when we do it, it has to be a new
It has to be
young
perfect.
cast, and we don't know who the hell that would be because those guys were perfect.
It can only be made by our boys Matt and Trey, though. I don't
Yeah,
want it.
I know,
I don't
yeah.
want it unless. And also, if you listen to the musical, I don't know if they could make it into a movie.
I mean, I
nowadays.
think, well, maybe not now, huh?
Yeah.
Maybe they got to a point where they were like, so this guy talks about he's got maggots in his scrotum, huh? And we gotta film that. And we gotta film that with a bunch of
But like
actors.
the nuanced cultural jokes that would just like fly over everybody's head and they would immediately be angry. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
it means fuck you, God. No way.
I mean, it's so good. It's so good, and it is like you could see the movie. You can see it in your head.
Yep.
And the fact that it doesn't exist is so bizarre, actually. But it really is because I think those guys were perfect, and now they're too old. So it's like, and I think Trey Parker and Matt Stone are still stuck in that like 19 movie deal with Paramount Plus.
Holy
Really?
shit.
Yeah, and they've made like 6 of them now, and so they're barreling through their contract, I'm sure, just making South Park shit.
Damn.
All those little South Park specials that come out are all movies.
Under the contract.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
I was hoping, like, when they made that deal, they were like, Trey Parker, Matt Stone making like 12 movies with Paramount to go exclusively to Paramount Plus. I was like, does that mean we're getting like Team America 2, which is so crazy, never happened? And we're going to get like, you know, the Book of Mormon movie as a Paramount Plus exclusive and like maybe another South Park movie.
Nope, they're just like,
Just endless long South Park episodes. And it's like,
Dude,
all right,
they're
I'll
so
take it.
bored. They're so bored with having to make movies that they're like, you know what? Let's buy Casa Bonita,
I
redo
know, right?
it.
Let's
and
buy a
reopen it.
restaurant and then let the money fly in, and then we can just finally retire. Dude, it's funny because I think about how, like, have you thought about Team America? Like, do you think about it?
I watched it again, like probably within the last year.
I watch it
Whoa.
every year on the 4th of July because I think
That's
it's the
awesome.
perfect 4th of July movie. It's
Yeah.
like a Michael
Dude,
Bay puppet.
It's so
orgy.
funny. It's so funny, and it means so much more today with the current like cultural
that's
bullshit
true.
going on.
That's true.
It's insane. Like you watch it and you're like, holy shit, it's like this came alive. A lot of the characters in this movie are your neighbors now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because when did that come out? Early 2000s?
Yeah, it was like 2001 or something.
Okay.
Or, I don't know.
No,
2003? 2003?
Hold on. Team
Maybe
America,
I'm trying to think if I was even married then.
2005.
2005.
Okay, all right. I remember going to Comic-Con and going into Hall H before, like, you could just walk right into Hall H those days. And there was a Paramount panel, and they were talking about all these Paramount movies, and then all of a sudden they pull out all this Team America stuff, and I was like, what? And then Trey and Matt are on stage, and they introduce like the whole opening of the movie, and I remember
that's awesome.
thinking, like, I can't believe we're getting this movie. This looks insane. It was like at the height of Trey Parker, Matt Stone
Dude, I
popularity.
miss conventions that were good.
Me too, man. Me too. LA Comic-Con is kind of neat. You ever been to LA Comic-Con?
I haven't been to LA Comic-Con.
It's actually next weekend. It's next weekend.
Is it crowded as all hell, though?
Yeah.
That's what I just am like, I can't stand
Yep.
it anymore. You can't fucking walk without feeling like you're getting pushed to the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, that's never gonna end. Isn't that interesting?
It's over. Yeah, it's done.
Like even Disneyland and shit. It's never.
Yep.
It's just gonna get more crowded.
Excuse me.
But anyway, the reason why we haven't, it makes me sad there isn't more Team America movies. But the reason why we don't have them is because when they were done making Team America, they were like, we'll never make a movie like this again. And they fucking hated making that movie because it was like a fucking nightmare making marionette
imagine.
puppets like do anything and look any kind of way other than really stupid. And
You've
like,
seen it, right, Kevin? Have you
Yeah,
seen
but it was
Yeah.
like probably 7-8 years ago.
You got to
that I saw it.
rewatch it. It's
Yeah.
just fucking. It's dude that
Well,
That movie and only like maybe two other ones, I've never laughed in a theater harder in my fucking life.
When you hear those songs for the first time, it's fucking amazing,
Dude.
But
Yeah.
you watch it when you do watch it, you can understand how they feel because I'll sit there and watch it as somebody that has never made a movie but has been like movie adjacent for 20 years now. You go, I can't believe that they put this on film. Like you see what they're doing. It's all physical. It's all practical.
Yeah, it's all
Every
practical.
single moment, you're like, this would have been fucking hell. And they were doing South Park at the same time.
Jesus.
The best thing is like the movie opens because you're like, it's marionettes. Like, you're going to see a marionette puppet movie. And I love that the movie opens with like a really crude painted like sky background and like the cheesiest little marionette like puppet like waltzes in and you're like, oh my God, is this what I'm about to I'm gonna watch 2 hours of this shit? And then it like zooms out and it's a better puppet like puppeting the like bad puppet. And then there's all these like better but like kind of still bad
Still,
looking
yeah.
but it's like you're not gonna see this shitty puppet. You're gonna see this kind of better puppet. It's just brilliant. The whole fucking movie is brilliant, man. All right. Well, anyway, are we nearing close to the end? When Joe stretches, I feel like that means we're nearing close to the
We
end.
just hit 40.
40? Okay.
That's some time.
Okay. So, unless
Dream
anybody
scenario.
has, dream scenario.
Dream scenario. Yeah.
So
Did you like it?
So
Is it
okay.
recommended?
So, do you guys remember that meme of the face? It's kind of like a spooky urban legend, almost like Slender Man, but there's like a face. It's like a drawing of a
I
face.
think I know what you're talking about.
I'm gonna pull it up right now. Don't look it up. And it's actually like every time I see it, it kind of creeps me out.
Is it
Man.
the one where it like...
Ugh, it's so it gives me like a weird feeling. The same feeling I get when I watch Hook. Just kidding. Okay, all right. God, this fucking I don't like looking at this, but here, I'm gonna share it with you guys. Do you guys ever seen this?
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Which
seen
Ellie
this
had to
guy?
inform me of what this is.
So this is like there's an urban legend. It's been around for a very long time, and the urban legend is that people have had a shared dream where they've seen this face.
It looks like Kermit the Frog cosplaying as a human.
It kind of looks like that ventriloquist dummy from like the 70s, like the 60s and 70s with the top hat. All you got to do is put like a monocle and a top hat on.
Yeah,
it
That
does.
little- but it creeps me out. But the urban legend is that he's like a dream guy that you like see in your dreams. And it's a shared dream that like everyone's had where they've like seen that face or something. And I guess there might be some truth to it, but I think it's more like one of those Mandela effect things
Right.
where, and I don't know if you guys know this about the Mandela effect, because I think it's really interesting and I love fun conspiracies like that. But apparently the real thing with the Mandela effect is that someone can convince you that something happened or that you've seen something, and then you'll just believe it because someone is like, I saw it, and you're like, yeah, I saw it too. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're having like a shared fake memory
You're
with
connecting,
someone or
yeah.
something. You're connecting that.
Subconscious gaslighting.
Right. So I think that face, that creepy face, is that. Like, I don't know if anybody's really all shared the experience of seeing that guy's face or whatever. But when this Nicolas Cage movie was coming out, Dream Scenario, I thought it was going to be about that.
Oh,
Because
interesting.
that's what it is. The movie is about
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage showing up in like a bunch of people's dreams, and he's just this like not exceptional guy, and it doesn't make sense why he's showing up in people's dreams. It's not like he's a famous celebrity or anything like that. So, but it's not. But they do make mention of it, which I thought was kind of interesting. So at
Oh,
least
that's cool.
they
Yeah,
know
acknowledge
that
it.
it exists. They
Oh.
acknowledge it. They acknowledge it in kind of like an offhanded way, but I loved it. It was fucking hilarious. It was a
Damn.
little too long, and ultimately, it's kind of a bummer. But I thought it was so fucking funny and interesting and fun.
Maybe we should watch it.
You should watch it.
His
In
career is so
theaters.
fascinating. So fascinating.
I know.
He's such an artist at heart. Like when you actually sit down and watch a Nicolas Cage interview and like get outside of the memification of Nicolas Cage the human, like you just go, oh, what is this guy all about? He is such a fucking theater nerd
Yeah,
artist, like
yeah.
I think
to
that's
the
why.
10th degree.
And he's
Yeah,
a
that's
weirdo
why.
too. He's like a big weirdo.
That's
Yep.
why he's been memed to hell. I think is because he's just fucking weird.
He does
Dude.
things that like inspire him as an artist. That's why
Exactly.
he's in so many weird freaking projects. And
Yeah.
the dude's an Oscar winner. He's a fucking Oscar winner.
Yeah.
I know. And he just does whatever he wants, and everybody loves it. They just eat it up.
Well, it went like this. It was like Nicolas Cage is cool, and he was kind of this like indie, and then he was an action star for a
And then
while.
people are like, "You're getting kind of sick of Nicolas
and
Cage."
and then he went down. And he was this joke, and everybody made fun of him. Bees, bees, and then like it's come back full circle, and now they
It
just
has.
love all the crazy shit that he does.
I know
Yeah.
he's transcended the jokery, which I think ends up happening if you're that kind of person. You know, I kind of feel like Nic Cage and Keanu Reeves are like similar kind of
No.
artists. Like I think Nic Cage
Keanu
is
didn't
better.
have a dropout. Like
No,
Never
that's
a
the
drop.
thing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's kind of the bigger difference. Other than Nicolas Cage is a way better actor.
Minus the drop. Minus the drop. And we're not even talking about that. I'm only talking about career and how we take him in and appreciate him now. Just thought about this in the moment.
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage is our new Christopher Walken.
Oh shit!
Ooh.
Interesting.
It's a good take.
So he murdered someone and got away with it. I love it. I love bringing that up every time someone brings up Christopher Walken. Like, oh, Christopher Walken, what a legend.
Wait, was Christopher Walken on the boat? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was him and I forgot.
A
all
director,
I always
right?
forget the names. Two famous guys and one famous lady, and they all went out on a boat together. And when they came back, the famous lady was gone. So, and they never found her, and there was no.
Well, Matthew Broderick hit her with a car.
And no one
Oh, God.
could pin a murder on them because they never found a body.
evidence. Yeah.
But
That's
Christopher Walken
crazy.
totally
Did Christopher
helped that
Walken
guy
have
murder
a? Did he have a drop? Was he made fun of? I wasn't
No,
around.
well, I mean, no.
Okay.
There
I don't
might have
think-
been.
I think
No.
he was like one of those, like he had in the 70s, he was totally respected, and then he continually worked through the 80s and the 90s. But then SNL took Christopher Walken to the next level.
Yeah.
Was it SNL or was it because the cowbell thing obviously like brought him into a whole new generation that didn't know who he was. But did the cowbell thing happen first or the Fat Boy Slim thing?
Cowbell, and then Fat
was?
Boy Slim came in.
Okay.
Or even if it was vice versa, like it was both of those things happened right at the same
Like
time.
around the same time, yeah.
Yeah.
But one
it's hard
of
to
yeah, but-
compare.
yeah.
But could you imagine, like, let's say, who's a good whatever today's Fat Boy Slim, right? They come out with a music video, and then all of a sudden there's a dude flying in it. Of course, it would be Nicolas Cage.
I know.
100%.
Dude, why wouldn't they? They've got to do that. Imagine getting Nicolas Cage to do the Christopher Walken, like just do something like Christopher Walken did in that Fat Boy Slim video.
And he would, and he kind of like again, he's taking all these really fun like side gigs where he's poking at himself, like doing
Yeah.
the film noir Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse. Like, what a cool role!
Yeah.
Did you guys
Yeah.
ever see Mom and Dad,
I
the
did.
Nic Cage movie? Joe, you saw it? What'd you think?
Oh yeah, it's okay,
It's
but
okay.
but he's fun. He's fun in it. But it's
Is that
okay.
the horror one, or is that?
Yeah, it's
no.
like him
Oh, it
and
is?
Selma Blair, and like some phenomenon happens where it makes parents want to kill their children.
It's like
Oh,
The
shit.
Happening by M. Night, but instead
Yeah.
of people dying, they kill their kids.
Yeah, and it's
Awesome.
like a tongue-in-cheek, like kind of like a B movie, sort of. Like it's not
Okay.
like meant to be taken. It's not like an M Night movie. It's very
I see.
like midnight, like matinee kind of movie. But I remember going to a screening of that, and Selma Blair and Nicolas Cage were both there.
Cool.
And when Nicolas Cage came out, like obviously the audience went nuts or whatever. But the dude was wearing this like leather jacket, and he had like 40 rings on, like big giant fucking rings, dude. Like sometimes
Yeah.
like 2 to a finger. and he comes in, he's like, yeah, what's up? Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he's just like, acting like a insane, crazy person the whole time. Woo! Going like, woo! Like kind of randomly and
I
shit.
love that.
He's a weirdo, man. It's real fun. It's fun to watch him be a weirdo.
I finished.
I'm trying to think if that's weirder than the time I saw Thomas Hayden Church introduce a movie at Fantastic Fest without his shoes on, and he and no shoes or socks. He came in barefoot, and he was like all fuck. He was like clearly wasted, and he was like
he's on something.
acting all bizarre. And when someone else would talk, he'd be like doing like all this weird shit.
That makes sense for him. He's another one that had this like huge moment. Like Thomas Hayden Church was the everything. It was Sideways and Spider-Man 3. Like there was just this moment where
Mist.
Who is this guy? I don't even know who this is. Who was
Thomas
he in
Hayden
Spider-Man
Church
3?
he was not in the Mist. That was
Oh, that's right.
What's Spider-Man 3? What was
What's
he in
that
that?
guy's name?
Sandman.
He was the Sandman. Yeah.
Oh, that guy. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
like he was gonna be the next like Nic Cage, and then
Yeah.
like he kind of like I think he did a lot of voice stuff after.
Yeah.
Dude, I finished a couple things that I'm really sadder over. I gotta wait for the fucking ever for the next 4 episodes of Invincible. That show's amazing.
I know. They just announced it's going to take like 2
Yeah,
years for the next half of the season.
People are so pissed.
No
off.
way.
You didn't hear about that?
2 years?
I didn't
don't
hear
believe
2
that.
years.
Because
It's
it
like a
took
year.
guys, it took 5 years between season 1 and season 2.
It did not.
Look it up.
That doesn't make any sense to me. Anyways,
Look,
that show's
look
Invincible
it
amazing.
came out before the pandemic, season 1.
I think.
No.
No, maybe it was after. Maybe it was after.
Anyways, finished that. Was great. Gen V, Gen 5. Loved it. So good.
It's good. Did you just finish that?
I finished it like last week.
Okay.
I'm sad,
Did you
that
f-
it's over.
Did you feel like it was good, but it like it dipped really into the young adult thing a little too
Oh, we
hard?
talked about this a little bit. It didn't bother me.
But
really?
it did, right? But it
Maybe
did
a little bit. There was some emotional connection between teenagers. Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely went into that too much. But I loved it. It was really fun. A great companion piece to the boys.
Hey Owen, what's up? Owen's calling me.
Yay,
Sorry.
Owen!
Owen, you're on the Valley Cast.
Plug it in through your phone.
I did. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, call me later. Bye.
Finished Taskmaster, which I know you guys don't watch, but it's
Damn.
amazing. And finished Attack on Titan.
Oh, I'm supposed to start that.
Wait, I didn't know you had been watching it, dude.
Wait, when did you start it?
Oh, years ago.
What the fuck?
So
Yeah.
did you just watch this final episode?
The final 2. I stayed up and watched them
you-
until 3 a.m.
That's a good way to do it, though, because the last 2, it was kind of hard to have a full year away from the last 2.
Gotta watch them together. But it was, I'm sad that it's over. It was
Right?
quite the journey.
So Joe, so like, you know, Kevin's had his head in a lot of that animated trash. so I don't know if I'm like super
Dude.
trusting of his, like, you gotta watch Attack on Titan.
What do you mean I've had my head in the animated trash?
I
That's
know
the
that
only
you-
show I've said.
No, I know that I know that you live around it. I know that you got cartoon. I know that you've got
well, Ellie.
Japanimation all around
yeah,
you.
Ellie, yeah.
Because of Ellie.
Are you an anti-Japanimation?
No, I'm not.
After we
but
were gushing over
No,
Eastern storytelling?
No, I'm not. Hold on. Let me make this clear. What I'm trying to say is that there's so much fucking anime
I agree.
out there, and like I can't keep track of all of the ones that are like good or not good or really good, but they're like 700 episode TV shows. So I don't know how much of it you've seen and how much of it you've been exposed to, because Ellie watches a ton of that stuff. So when you say like, hey, it's pretty good, I don't know if it's because
Dude.
you're like, it's good because of all this other stuff
So-
is not so great or whatever. Or,
So Ellie has watched Attack on Titan and like episodes of other animes. She's not an anime person. She just likes like the culture of it.
and the little characters and stuff.
The characters and stuff, but Attack on Titan like is the one anime. If you had to watch one anime, I would say that's the one to choose.
And there's a lot of episodes, but not a lot of episodes like some of the other shows.
Well, but that's why, like, Joe is like, I feel like, Kevin, do you feel like you and Joe are on the same level of, like, how, like, what kind of stuff you watch? Like, you watch the same kind of stuff Joe watches?
I would also
that's
say...
why, because I want to know, like, hearing you, Kevin, say that Attack on Titan was, like, up there with some of the greatest TV shows, like even Breaking Bad. I was like, okay, I've never heard that. I know people love the show, but I've never heard people say like it's like as good as some of the big heavy hitter dramatic television shows. So I'm curious that now that we have someone else here who has seen the whole thing, like, do you agree with Kevin that it belongs in like high dramatic good television charts?
Yeah, I think so. I think once you get down into the nitty gritty of it, when you go from start to finish,
Kevin, vindicated.
Where it goes, again, in an Eastern storytelling type of way, will like send you for a loop a lot of times.
Yeah.
But what brings you into it is there's always going to be some like over the top dramatic moments and flashbacks and stuff like that because it's anime, and maybe that stretches out the series like 5 or 6 episodes too long. But the visuals of this show are so unexpected and weird and put you in like such a dream state. It's fascinating. It's so good. I've never had characters when you first start watching this show, the Titans, they make you feel so uncomfortable and weird. And then
I've seen clips of it, and it's real bizarre and weird and scary.
And then you get wrapped into the storytelling and the characters, and it's really cool. I really, really, really enjoyed it.
Do they explain the giants and stuff? They explain them?
Yeah, it's all
their
explained.
like origins and things like that?
Well, that's the thing. So I would also argue that it's probably the least anime of anime. Meaning there's not a lot of like super weird, like, you know, crying with tears bursting down their face.
No.
Like there's none of that like garbage stuff that
it doesn't
happens.
feel like
I don't mind that stuff either though. Like I
know, but this like takes it a little bit more seriously.
That's
than
cool.
That.
Yeah.
And I would say though you have to like pay attention for sure, but the journey, like Joe was saying, the journey it takes you on through where it ends up going, you'll never guess. It is like impossible to predict the places that it goes to.
The fucking action in it is
so cool.
Oh my god,
it's so cool.
I just want for the record and for the AI companion.
Right.
I like anime.
Okay.
I like a lot of anime. I'm a big Cowboy Bebop fan. I watch that show once a year. Maybe not the whole thing, but I'll watch a few episodes. So just for the record, I even like the melodramatic stuff.
Okay.
Like I like weird Korean melodramatic movies and things like that too. Like you guys ever seen The Host? With that big slime swamp monster that comes out of the water. There's like so many scenes in that movie where they're just like crying and you're just watching them cry and there's nothing else happening and you're like, all right, okay. All right. I get it. They're sad.
I'm excited for you to watch it. I think you
I'm definitely going to.
Dude, you could even here's a pitch. You could even loop Brett in, who is a very Western
dude, if you do first time show, get me on that
first time show Attack on Titan.
Yeah, dude.
Whoa, that's really interesting.
People would tune the fuck in, man.
Yeah, they would.
Wow, interesting. That's kind of a good idea.
It's really good.
Kevin, maybe you could replace Owen.
That's what I mean. I would love to join in.
Because Owen would never do it. I could never convince him to do it.
That's true. Fuck.
He's done. He'll never do another podcast with me again.
He was actually calling you just now to tell you.
To say I'm never gonna. Now I'm done with our friendship. You're too positive for me. Okay. So one last thing, and then we'll go. Right? Are we at the end?
Yeah,
now?
we're good.
Man.
Okay. One last thing. So, speaking of the Eastern cultures and things that come from the East, I just recently finally picked up a video game series
What would it be?
that is beloved
Final Fantasy?
Was it your first Final Fantasy?
No, not that popular. I don't think. No, definitely not as popular as Final Fantasy.
It wouldn't be
Wouldn't that
Chrono
be crazy if
Trigger.
I picked up Final Fantasy? I've never played any. I played Kingdom Hearts and was like really turned off.
Yeah.
No, it's so I was looking for, maybe this will clue you in a little bit more. I was looking for like a good co-op, couch co-op, turn your brain off kind of game, and I've got plenty of those, but I'm always on the lookout for more, and if they're fun, because I love having friends over and playing video games on the couch and just turning our brains off and having a good time. So I was doing some research into that, and I rediscovered a series that I've always wanted to play but never have, and finally fucking pulled the trigger, and it's so stupid and fun, and I fucking love it. It's called Earth Defense Force.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Have you heard of this, Joe? Joe knows about this.
Yeah.
So Earth Defense Force is a really old Japanese game series where you are a military presence that is fighting off giant bugs. Like hordes and hordes and hordes.
Maybe I have like
of
seen clips of this. Yeah.
Ants and giant spiders and big giant aliens and spaceships and robots and stuff. And you basically, it's just like turn your brain off, like blasting armies of bugs that just like end, and they're giant. So when they come up to you, you're like, what the fuck? And they'll like pick you up in their teeth and then throw you. And
Do
then
you have it in
flung-
VR?
No, it's
Oh, damn, that would've
I
been
wish,
sick.
dude, it would have been the perfect fucking. It would be
Yeah.
the perfect VR game because it's so fucking bonkers.
Do you remember what N64 game that reminds me of?
What game?
Jet Force Gemini.
Oh yeah. Whoa, wait. No. Jet Force sounded familiar, but not Gemini.
Jet Force Gemini. You were fighting space bugs, big giant space bugs.
Really? Jet Force Gemini.
That's a
Let
thing.
me look that up.
Yep.
But
That
dude,
reminds me too of like the games you play at arcades with like
dude,
the
it's such an
guns.
arcade. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Dude, I remember this game, Joe.
Yeah, it was a good one. It's a good under the ground.
So funny. But anyway, it's so Earth Defense. I cannot recommend Earth Defense Force more.
But it's a series?
I think so the sixth one is coming to the US next year, but it's been in
Okay.
Japan for a year now. So they're on the 6th. And I think there's like in between ones too. I don't know why they
bet.
fucking love doing that. Like Earth Defense Force
1.5.
Midnight 4.9 or whatever. Yeah. So there's like a bunch of fucking versions of it. I think it's only playable on the PlayStation.
That's where
So
it's at.
I
Dude.
don't know if it's on Xbox, or I think it's on PC. But anyway, PlayStation has the one I've been playing is Earth Defense Force 5. And apparently there's an Earth Defense Force 4.0 that's also really good. So, but for some reason, even the hardcore fans recommend going from 5 to 4.0. Like
Interesting.
5 is a good introductory Earth Defense Force game, but it's kind of old, so the graphics are like a little janky.
Yeah.
But I've been playing it like endlessly, dude, and it's just so stupid and funny and dumb. the voiceover translations, like basically your army team that's like running along with you, are all like they all don't stop talking. All right, men, let's go. All right, oh, here they come. Oh no, they're coming. Everyone fire. And it's
I
like
love that.
endless dialogue while you're like killing bugs, and then you're hearing like the command force talking to you, and they're like, the monsters are coming at us from alien spaceships and we have to destroy them as they land. And so you're hearing like all this shit, but then you're hearing things like I don't want to die today, or like oh, looks like we're gonna die, and it like really weird. And then at one
Shit,
point,
did I turn off the oven? Ah!
yeah, exactly. And then at one point they send down these like giant fucking like, they're like humanoid frog alien
Oh, yeah.
monsters with a big frog face, and you can like blast their heads off and their arms off, but they're like fucking huge. And when they first show up, the team is like, they look just like us. Oh my God, they look just like us. Why do they look just like us? And I'm like, what? I'm like, have I not seen them yet? I'm seeing these giant frog things. And they're like, I'm like, where are the ones that look like us? And they think it's just like a bonkers
Bonkers.
translation. And at one point, one of them even goes, "I can't kill them. They look just like us." And then
the hell?
someone's like, "We have to kill them for the fate of the planet." And it's like all this like weird Japanese bad translation shit. So fun and dumb. I highly recommend it. Earth Defense Force.
EDF.
EF, baby.
You know what I just remembered as we wrap up?
Okay.
I'm getting another tattoo tomorrow.
Whoa! What the heck?
And next time you see me, I'm gonna be all tatted up.
Damn, brother, you're gonna be like a sailing boy.
I'm going to be that boy.
What are you getting?
An anus.
I'm getting the funeral from Arcade Finder.
Yeah, you're doing it. You're doing it.
The album cover, the little hand with the feather quill.
Cool.
Damn, well, I get to see you on Thursday.
Yes, sir. Actually, did you hear about
When's-
Mike with his kidney stones?
Oh no, what?
We'll talk about that after the show.
What the fuck? I haven't gotten anything from him. We'll talk about
Okay.
it after the show. All right, guys, well, listen. Thank you for watching. Joe, anything you want to say?
No, guys, thank you for listening to our bullcrap. This was a fun one. Hopefully you enjoyed our ramblings, and we'll see you next week.
Happy holidays, everyone! Earth Defense Force. Earth Defense Force. Earth
Nicolas
Defense-
Cage. Nicolas Cage.